Hey everyone, today we are going to modify the Konami Hyperstick, one of my favorite sticks for the PlayStation 1. So let's get started. Fight! Okay, so this is, as you know, the Konami Hyperstick. Came out for the PlayStation 1 stock. It does come with a Seimitsu LS56, Seimitsu buttons, a start and a select button. It's obviously a PlayStation stick, so you can adapt it to just about anything. It does come with nice stock parts, but as you can see, the buttons are a little scratched up, they're a little grimy. I wanna get some new buttons, so we're actually gonna swap them out for some new Seimitsu buttons, and we're gonna swap out the joystick here. This does come stock with an LS56, but the shaft is actually a custom one where it's slightly fatter and a little shorter on the top side than a regular retail LS56. And because I want this to be a little bit stiffer and I want it to be the original height, I'm gonna go ahead and use the stock shorter shaft and just place it in a new LS56 so that I have a new spring, new actuator, basically just a brand new stick with the original shaft. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this back plate off using a Phillips screwdriver, and don't forget about the 2 hidden screws under the bottom corner rubber pads. So here's the PCB with the buttons soldered in. You're gonna need to heat up each one of those button points and remove the solder using either a solder wick or solder vacuum, as I'm going to use. In the case of the vacuum, you're gonna heat it up until it turns to liquid and then just vacuum it right up. And just make sure you check your work and that you're not bridging any 2 solder points together. You can always use a solder wick to clean up your work. Once everything is desoldered, you can just pop this board right off the buttons. Go ahead and disconnect the joystick harness. Just a little tip, Seimitsu's mount theirs upside down and Sanwa's right side up. So this is your start and your select daughter board here. The best thing to do is to just set this PCB aside. The buttons all pop out pretty easily. You just pinch the 2 contact pressure points and pop them right out. Now the cool thing is that these are standard 30 millimeters. Today I'm using Seimitsu screw-in buttons, but you can use push-in buttons as well, Sanwa's, whatever you want to use. In the case of the screw-ins, you have these little nut backs, which I think are really great and just make it very easy. Okay, so we're looking good with these new buttons. It's gonna look even better once we get the new ball top on there. But first, we need to remove the old ball top, get this plate off, and start on the joystick. Just a flathead, you're just gonna hold the ball top in place, loosen that guy. Once the ball top is loose, you should be able to just hold the shaft. Unscrew that very easily. And don't forget to hang on to your dust cover here that comes with the stick if you plan on using the stock short shaft. So now we can just unscrew these 6 screws. Boom. And this is why I love this stick to mod, because clean countersinked holes here. Unscrew this guy. And there you have it, your LS56. First thing you're gonna need to do is pop off this E-clip here on the bottom of the joystick, and that's gonna allow you to disassemble it. Now there's a couple parts in here, but just remember the order and you should be just fine. Shaft that comes with the Hyperstick, new shaft from an LS56, definitely shorter. So let's go ahead and put the shorter shaft inside of the new LS56 so we can get those nice new parts. We grab the back side of it, boom. New LS56 parts, and we just took the stock shaft, threw it on the new joystick. Now, this is gonna be exactly the right height. You got your new Seimitsu buttons, you got your new LS56 in there. Feels freaking awesome. All we gotta do is wire everything up. quick disconnects right here, ready to rock and roll. We're gonna throw these on each one of the buttons, and then we're gonna wire them to this PCB. Once you have the quick disconnects on, is you just bend them over as much of that vertical space as you can get, because you don't want too much wire sticking through the other side of the PCB. Probably do something like that. Put a little bit of solder, the ends of these, kind of brush it onto each one of these points. So now you're gonna take each wire, 2 wires per button, and feed them through the back side of the PCB through the corresponding holes. And since you already have a little solder on the ends of those wires, you should be able to mend them together pretty easily, at least enough to sit there for a moment, and then just add a little extra solder on top of it to lock it in. Okay, so once you have everything wired up, you have your joystick harness plugged back in here. You have your cable for your controller input here, plugged back in and slotted right here. Place your PCB, run all your wires, tuck them all in so that they're not gonna get pinched by anything, especially by the screw points. Because you're gonna have to put a metal panel over the top of this thing and you don't want that touching any of these solder points, cover it with some electrical tape. You could stack some like adhesive. You could also cut out some cardboard like this. All right, so here's the new and improved Konami Hyperstick with a new LS56 using the original stock short shaft and new Seimitsu buttons. Here's another variation I did with Sanwa buttons, and as you can see, they sell a color that matches the base perfectly. Such a great performing arcade stick and a very clean and easy mod. So I'll see you on the next video because I think there's gonna be so many more mod videos coming up, and I'll catch you next time.